Welcome to episode number 8 of the Rethink Your Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Boyd Waters. I can't wait to talk to you about money with my guest, money mentor Jill Wiley, a teacher who now lives in Norway and wants to help other teachers maintain their joy and dignity. I know, talking about money sounds really weird coming out of my mouth, because as a teacher and entrepreneur, my own relationship with money has been a bit complicated. But I know this is an important topic for teachers to discuss, particularly our mindset about money and how we need to adjust our thinking as we're considering transitioning out of the classroom. What Jill has to share with us is important, particularly if we're making a career change sooner than we expected. We'll learn more from Jill after these messages.
Are you ready to take control of your life? Then you've come to the right place. The Rethink Your Lifestyle podcast is here to help entrepreneurs like you start, grow, and scale the online business you love. Join host Michelle Waters as she shares her journey from the classroom to the freedom of being her own boss. She'll interview inspiring entrepreneurs and share tips and insights along the way. All right, without any further ado, let's get this show started.
Welcome back to the Rethink Your Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Boyd Waters, and I am here with Jill Wiley today. Hi, Jill.
Hi, it's wonderful to be here with you, Michelle.
I am so glad to have you here. If you could just take a few moments and tell us, what your experience is as a teacher. And I know I found you on Facebook, I think it was. It was in a mutual group, and we were.
Yes.
And I found out that you are kind of like a financial wizard, and I thought, hey, that is something teachers need to hear more about. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm not a financial wizard. I like money. I like talking about money, and I enjoy money. I'm very lucky because my parents, even though we started out pretty poor, they had really good money sense, and they taught me about money. So growing up, money was a topic of conversation in our house. They had rentals from as young as I can remember. One of my very earliest memories was going to a rental with them and helping to clean it out. But I'm also a teacher, and I started teaching in, I will admit it, 1995.
Oh, wow.
And I have bopped in and out of teaching because I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of different things I enjoy doing. So I spent a year in France on scholarship, and I stayed home with my daughter for a year after she was born. And I took a couple of years off when my kids were little to start a business. And then the most recent time out of teaching is moving to Norway. I didn't know if I would get back into teaching that time, but I picked up a job really quickly. And what I've realized is that even though I love being a money mentor and a money coach, I will never be happy if I'm not in the classroom. I love both of them. So I have a real heart for teachers. I think probably we met in a teacher group on Facebook, and it breaks my heart when I see a teacher post something that says, I'm desperate to get out of teaching. I cry every day, but I can't afford it. So part of what I want to do is help teachers get the financial means to take control of their life again and to reconnect with their joy and to find a sense of dignity where they know they're in charge of their lives.
And that's what I'm wanting to do as well. I don't want to see teachers in that toxic context where they're completely unhappy and not able to do what they know they're supposed to do. So for me, I'm wanting to help them start their own businesses and be their own boss. But I also know that teachers have historically struggled with money because, we're not valued by society in such a way that we're paid enough that we could save the money we need to stop what we're doing and go start that business. And so I'm thinking, what can you tell us? What advice do you have for those teachers who have this idea that they want to start, but they're still in the classroom? What do they need to do?
I don't have a magic bullet, and I don't have a magic wand, despite reading Harry Potter about 45 times. But what I do have is I have some mindsets, I think, that will help teachers. And it's also some really practical advice. None of it is going to turn a ship around 180 degrees overnight. Just like when we're learning any new skill, people who are good with money, you are probably already doing these things. And you might just need a little bit of a bump to hear somebody say, you're on the right track, keep it up. The problem is people who feel like they're not good with money, there is a real sense of shame there. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not really sure, because if nobody's taught you about money and you had parents who maybe weren't super great with money, how would you know? How would you know what is going to be a good financial decision? And since people don't talk about money with people that they don't know, where would you learn that? So first of all, there is no shame in feeling like you're not good with money. It's just like anything else. If you're not good at football, you go out, you hang around with people who know football, and you learn. If you're not good at knitting and you want to be good at knitting, you learn from people who know how to knit. Again, the problem is that it's a little bit harder to find people who are willing to talk about money.
It's kind of like this close-held secret. If I share this secret with other people, they'll learn how to make money, and then I won't be able to, or something like that.
Yes, I don't know what it is. I want to see, and I think I've mentioned this to you, and we'll probably talk about it later, but I think that teachers are really good people. And I think when good people have money, they do good things with it. So I want to see a lot more teachers with a lot more money.
So how can we make that happen? And I totally get there's no magic bullet. That's pretty much the way teaching is too. There's no magic bullets there either. And what works today to convince little Billy to read may not work tomorrow. So unlike children,
yes,
money I think is a little bit more consistent.
It is. The problem is that life isn't always consistent.
Yes.
So we know what we need to do with money.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, but it's hard to make life conform to that. So some teachers make really good money and are saying, I want to get out of teaching, but I can't replace my salary.
Right.
Some teachers make hardly anything and they're saying, all I want to be able to do is pay off my student loans. That would make me happy. So to start out with, full disclosure, I am not a financial planner.
Okay.
I don't tell people what to invest in, and I am completely self-taught. I am just a big money geek. But I have been reading about money and listening to podcasts and watching my parents and talking to people who have money for at least 20 years now. And I am also a teacher. So I feel like between the two things, I have some insights to share. So if somebody wants to get out of teaching, the first thing to think about is, what's your timeline? Because if I give the same advice to somebody who wants to get out of teaching in 6 weeks that I give to somebody who wants to get out of teaching in 3 years, somebody is going to get messed over. That's not good. So the first thing is to think about your timeline. I understand that there are reasons that people need to get out of teaching fast, maybe even without a backup job. And while it's not ideal, I have read a lot of teachers who say, I'm having blood pressure issues. I am having heart issues because of the stress of teaching. So if that's something that's going on and you need to get out, then there are ways to, it's probably not going to be super great, but there are ways to prepare for that. The first thing is, no matter how long it is before you want to get out of teaching, please read your contract. Everybody should read their contract, because if you don't, there's a good chance that you could do something wrong that will cost you money, or you could be unaware of some of the benefits that you have and you could leave money on the table. And because every state is different, you need to know, and every district is different. You need to know what your state law says. You need to know what your contract says. So in some states, you might have to give a 30-day notice. In others, you might need to fulfill your contract. In others, your district might be able to just release you from the contract. So first thing is, read the contract and know the contract. And if you're a member of a union or an association, check with your representative and find out what rights you have. Little things like, will you be paid your sick days? So will you be paid for your sick days if you leave them and don't use them, or will you not? That can make a big difference. So that is something for everybody. The second thing is, if it's absolutely urgent, you have to leave, you don't necessarily have replacement income, make sure that you're going to have insurance. You do not want to be without insurance in the U.S., so check on COBRA. That would come through your district, and it is usually extremely expensive. But if you are leaving teaching because you're having heart problems, it's better to pay the $1,000 a month than have a $20,000 medical bill. So look into the insurance. If your insurance is good and you have time, get your checkups. Get whatever minor procedures you can get done, taken care of while you're on that insurance. Next thing is, draw some boundaries. Stop taking work home. If you have already given your notice and you're on 30 days, yes, you want to get a good recommendation, but you need that time for yourself. That might be time where you spend trying out a side hustle to make some money. It might be time that you spend putting into a job search. You might need to update your LinkedIn. But that time that you're spending, and some teachers are spending 11 or 12 hours a day, that's time that you're giving away free, and you deserve to be paid for that.
In terms of the context of your classroom, if you're spending all that time grading papers, stop, give that assignment back to the kids and have them grade it together. Because, ultimately grades are subjective, and you can put them in charge of that and let them handle that, and just make sure that, if people don't understand what the assignment is or didn't get it done, that they have an opportunity to revise that to get a higher grade, that whatever higher grade they're willing to get. You just tell them what they need to do.
Absolutely. And that does two things. First of all, it takes the grading off of you. And secondly, it covers 20 minutes of lesson plan. That's 20 minutes that you don't have to prep. Okay. They're peer reviewing. I'm going to write 4 questions for them, and they're going to give each other feedback on these 4 questions. So yes, things like that. Draw boundaries, and to the best of your ability, stop taking work home. If you can use that time to earn extra money, that's a great thing to do. Sometimes it takes them 3 or 4 different side hustles to figure out one that works. I have a sister who does DoorDash. She loves it. I have other people who've tried DoorDash. They hate it.
Some things that you can try too, like especially if you're an English teacher, you could try copywriting, you can try being a virtual assistant. There are several things that you could do. You just need a website and join some groups that I'm a member of and tell people, hey, this is something that I do.
Absolutely. And if you're a math teacher, there are a ton of companies out there that are looking for math tutors. The names are escaping me right now. Of course, you can do OutSchool, but then you're building your own clientele. But there are a lot that will just hire math teachers, science teachers, business teachers to do some tutoring on the side. And you can earn money and put some money aside doing that instead of giving that time away free. The other thing is you've got to control that voice in your head, because when you try to take your time back and draw boundaries, the voice in your head is going to tell you, but the kids need this. I've got to plan good lessons. The kids deserve it. The kids do deserve it. But you are one person and an entire system is failing them. And you are not going to be able to stop that entire system.
And not only is that system failing them, it's failing you. You are caught in the same web, and you are the only person that you have. You have to be able to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And you're the only parent that your kids have, and you're the only partner that your partner has. And you are the only, it goes on and on and on. So when those guilt words come to you, it's just a matter of practice to some extent. You have to stop it and say, look, I did not create this problem, and I have done my best to solve it, and I am going to continue doing a fair day's work for maybe a fair day's pay. That's debatable. I'm going to keep doing a fair day's work, but I am not going to devote my life to this. And you might have to talk back to that voice in your head, because it's going to tell you all those things that we teachers have heard. It's not about the income. It's about the outcome.
I just saw that online yesterday. And if we valued the outcome the way we said we did, we would make sure that the teachers had the income.
Yes. And that's what you have to tell your brain, because otherwise you're going to keep taking things home. You're going to find it's quitting day and you haven't had any plans. You haven't applied to jobs. That's not a situation you want to be in. Also, avoid unnecessary major purchases. Don't tell yourself, well, my car is a little bit shaky and I don't want to be without a job and have a car that I need to replace, so I'm going to buy one now. Not if you're leaving in an emergency situation. You push that car, you push that whatever as far as it will go. Have a backup plan, a friend who maybe has an extra car that you can drive for a day or two if your car absolutely goes kaput. Don't talk yourself into major purchases saying, well, I have an income now, I've got to, no. You save money, as much money as you can, you put it aside.
And speaking of that car, you do go get your oil changed and your fluids checked and, make sure that you can push it. Yes.
Yes. It doesn't mean ignore
your
the
car's
car.
health checked.
It means don't take out a car loan.
Yes. Yeah, don't do that. No.
So that's the if the leaving is urgent scenario. And that would be some things that I would suggest thinking about. If you're leaving within 6 months, so it's February as we're recording this. I don't know when it will go public, but that's going to be 4 or 5 months for some people. If you're thinking, okay, I don't want to go back to school next year, then start your job search now. You might want to have in the back of your mind, What will happen if I get my dream job? Be ready for that. But start your job search, update your LinkedIn, do all those things. Pay off some debt if you can. Now, I want you to stash cash also, because cash can be used for a lot of different things. But if you have some credit card bills and you could knock maybe one or two of them out and get rid of a 20% interest rate, that would be a good thing to do so that you're not paying big interest on those. Journal about your dream situation. Don't just run away from teaching. Run towards something that lights your fire. What makes you happy? And I think that's probably something that you talk about more than I do even.
That's what I did. I realized that I needed to leave the classroom, and I thought, but I can't just quit. I can't just say, oh, I'm done. I failed. I'm just going to go home and sit on the couch. And so I had to think, how can I leave in such a way that I am going towards something? And I always make sure that I'm going towards something. So, I had just was about to graduate with my master's degree when my professor said, hey, Michelle, I'd like for you to be the graduate assistant for the Oklahoma Writing Project. And I thought, hey, that's something that I can go towards, because I can't do that and teach all at the same time, because that would and work on my doctorate. That would be way too much. So I am going to have to set teaching aside and go towards being a graduate assistant and getting my doctorate. And what ended up happening is I'm a graduate assistant for that one organization and also for my professor, which means I get my tuition paid. And so like a $3,000 bill ended up being $700. And the money that I got from all my sick days, I used to pay that. Plus, I'm getting paid per month for the work that I'm doing. And I'm only doing, 20 hours of work and getting more than half of what I earned as a teacher.
One of the things that you do really well, Michelle, we've only talked a couple of times, but I can tell this about you already, is you are able to believe that good things are going to happen and that you can take advantage of them. And I think that's another mindset that we as teachers need to cultivate. Good things are going to happen. We have been devalued for so long as teachers that it's easy to think, well, what can I possibly do? You have skills. They're in demand. It doesn't mean you're going to get the first job that you apply for, but you need to think, I can do this. I'm capable. If I can handle 30 third graders, I've got this.
And part of that, too, is surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, people who can see what you have to offer and not only build you up, but also help you find opportunities. Like my professor who said, hey, I want you to be the graduate assistant for this organization. If I hadn't listened to him, if I had, not had him in my life, then I wouldn't have had that opportunity. But, find those people who believe in you, those people who can, pull you along with them, who are doing the things that you want to do, and hang on to them.
Yes. And if you can't get to them at the moment, listen to a podcast. We spent 2 years trying to move to Norway, and there were days that it didn't look like it was going to happen, but I had to keep my head in the right place. And just for the record, it was my husband and I and 3 children. So it wasn't just okay, we're going to hop in. And the poodle. I forgot the poodle. We're going to hop on the plane and leave this all behind. No, we had 3 kids. We had to figure out how we're going to do all this. And I am a firm believer in podcasts because they keep your mind on the goal. They keep your mind on where you're going, not what you're running from, but hey, this can happen. I can make it happen. And even though you might not be able to get a hold of somebody on the phone who believes in you, or you might not run into them on the way home from work, you can always listen to a podcast and get your brain right again.
And find those podcasts that, are produced by people who are doing what you're wanting to do, and listen to their story and, see what you need to do in your life to create that situation for you. So, maybe you need to work in an industry for a period of time to gain some experience before you can start your own business. Or, maybe you need to get some sort of training, through LinkedIn or what have you, or maybe you just need to join a particular community that has people who are needing the services or products that you're wanting to offer. But start now.
But you are going to have those glitches. So don't think that you won't. And if you feel really down and like it's never going to happen, don't think that that means anything other than, okay, I expected this. When women have children, they know that they're going to have labor pains. When you start a business, you're going to have labor pains, and you don't know when they're going to be coming. I mean, when you're pregnant, you can kind of predict it.
Yeah, and then that sweet, innocent child turns to and looks at you and says no one day. And then they become teenagers, and, it's not just this perfect ride. You're always going to have bumps, and you just have to figure out, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to pivot? What needs to happen in order for me to succeed?
Yes, but definitely don't think that, something has gone wrong, therefore I'm doing the wrong thing. Nope. Something has gone wrong. That means I'm right on course. So if people have a little bit more time to leave then, like maybe they're planning a couple of years out, they have a lot more time to do some research, to make a plan, to put money aside in cash to pay off debt and get themselves in a really good place. And if they have enough time to do it, I think a cash cushion of 3 to 6 months is a good plan that will really give you a solid feeling of, if I don't get a job right away, I'm good to go. Get some money stashed in retirement possibly. And some teachers might want to look at an option that is called a 457B. That is basically a retirement account. That's a retirement account for teachers or other public servants that they can access any time after they've left their job.
I had never heard of that.
I believe it was originally put in place for firefighters and police officers who have a really strong physical component to their job and might not be able to work until they're 55 or 60. Or want to switch careers, but some corporations have it and some don't. Ironically, my corporation did not have it, but my husband worked for the state of Indiana. So he was able to use that. And what it allows you to do is put your money away pre-tax instead of post-tax, and then you pay tax on it when you take it out. So if you need to tap it when you don't have a job, your tax rate is most likely going to be lower. Again, I am not a financial planner, so please check that with a financial professional before making any decisions, but it's something that you could consider to up that savings rate a bit.
We've talked about if you have to get out right now. We've talked about if you're looking at getting out within the next 6 months or so. And we've talked about if you're wanting to get out in 2 or more years. What other advice would you offer to someone in any of those scenarios?
I think the best advice that I can give you is, with money, slow and steady wins the race. It might not feel like doing much if you pay an extra $50 on your credit card bill. It might not feel like you're doing much if you decide to pack your lunch instead of eating out for lunch and you stash that money aside. But I have a member of my family who has been a teacher, and that is, I'm trying to think, she's been a teacher for about 20 years now, and she's never held another job besides teaching. She is just over 40, and her financial advisor says she can retire pretty much any time. An extra $500 or $600 a month would be fine, but that's what she's done. I actually interviewed her for my blog one time. It's called Interview with a Financial Superstar, Rock Star, or Teacher Rock Star, or something like that. I don't remember the exact title, but her best advice was max out your retirement and slow and steady wins the race. So just little tiny pieces here and there will really make a difference. When you're trying to lose weight, foregoing one hamburger isn't going to help you lose weight. Doing one extra workout isn't going to get you in shape. But doing those little things again and again and again and again, that is what makes the difference between, hey, I'm able to retire at age 45 and not have to worry about working, not have to worry about whether my teacher's pension is going to be there for me or not, or I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to retire. And again, I'm not trying to shame anybody. That's the last thing I want to do, because wherever you are, you can start today and improve your future. You can't change the past, but you can improve your future. But what I don't want people to think is, well, I've messed it up, and so I have to do this massive big thing and fix it. No, little steps, little steps. Little steps. Because if you try to do some massive thing, you're going to backslide. Just like if you try to go on a diet, only eat 1,000 calories. It's not healthy and you're not going to keep it up. One of the things that I like for people to do is add one frugal habit every other month. A little thing, like maybe you go out and you get lunch 3 times a week or 4 times a week at school or something like that. If you can say, okay, I'm just going to pack my lunch one day more. Don't say, I'm going to pack my lunch every single day and I am not going to go out to eat at all. No, one day more. If you go out to eat, 2 or 3 times a week in the evening, I'm going to cook at home 1 time more. Little steps, little steps. It'll take you a while, but eventually you'll look back and you'll go, wow, I've really made a difference. Of course, the other side of that is you have to actually take that money and use it to pay off debt or put in your cash fund or something like that. You don't just spend it on something else.
You don't develop another habit to replace the one that you're taking care of or getting rid of.
Yes. But if you can do one frugal habit like every other month, don't push yourself to do more than that. You want that habit really set well before you add another one so that you feel successful.
Absolutely. And then, you've got your plan. We've talked about what plans you need to set in place depending on your timeline. And just keep working that plan. And if something goes wrong, don't sit around beating yourself up over it. Just get back on track, reevaluate, and do what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for spending this 30 minutes with us. I really appreciate your advice, and I'm definitely going to look up this retirement account that you mentioned.
Wonderful. I hope that works for you. And thank you for having me. Like I said, I am just a big money geek and I like talking about money. So this has been the highlight of my day.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Something needs to change. Your comfort zone is shrinking, but you need a roadmap to get out. You want to start a business or achieve that goal you always wanted, but what can you do? Rethink Your Lifestyle can help you find the answers. Our Get Out of Your Comfort Zone online course will help you plan and chart your journey out of that comfort zone and into a new, happier you. Learn how you can take action and rewrite your story at rethinkyourlifestyle.com/comfort zone course.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rethink Your Lifestyle podcast, where you learn how to be your own boss. Have questions about starting, growing, or scaling your business? You can ask us anything. Just fill out the form at www.rethinkyourlifestyle.com/askmeanything, and Michelle will answer your burning entrepreneurial questions in an upcoming episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'll catch you next time.